Tony, welcome.
Hi, John. Nice to see you again.
And I'm going to ask you, as I have everyone, to just state your full name with your middle name.
Anthony Francis Felicio.
All right. Where did Anthony come from, first of all? Who in the family?
Anthony was named after my grandfather. It was Anthony on my mother's side.
On your mother's side.
Right. And Francis came from my father.
That was his first name?
That was his first name.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Did you have, we all know you here as Tony.
Right.
Did you ever have any other nicknames growing up?
Not really. When I was a young kid, you used to call me Baba, okay? Baba Lou or something like that. Because I was always an active guy, you know, moving around, playing ball, and very athletic, you know. And, but most of my family would call me Anthony.
Okay.
Maybe outside the family, friends and people like that would call me Tony.
I'm anxious. There's a lot of questions that suddenly come to mind. But where did you grow up?
I grew up in. I was born and raised in Ozone Park, Queens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Did you have brothers and sisters?
I have. Well, I had 4 sisters. One is deceased, and 1 brother.
All right. We're going to talk about that in a little while.
Sure.
So right now, though, let me ask you about your own family right now. Your immediate family. If you'll go through them with names, tell me a little something about each one of them.
I got to remember them all.
That's right. That's right. I can't help you there, Tony.
Well, number 1, which you know very well, is Deborah.
Yes.
She's Deborah Malor. Okay. Then we have Anthony Francis Jr.
Tell me a little bit about Debbie at the moment. I knew her as a student in high school.
Right.
I knew her also as a teacher in the high school. Is she still teaching?
She's still teaching here at the high school. She has 2 children.
Okay.
She's a lovely girl, which, as you know, beautiful young lady. And she's very happy in what she's doing. She loves dealing with kids. And so she's doing a great job.
Okay.
And she's just finished up her master's.
Ah.
So.
Well, see, the apple doesn't fall too far from this tree either.
It's amazing. You know, as I go on and talk to you, you got 4 of my children all became educators. They all became teachers, all 4 of them. 2 special ed and 2 regular.
Well, and, where's Tony in the
line? Okay, Tony is Anthony Jr. To the family, naturally. He's at Connecticut High School. He teaches special ed. He teaches his teaching is social studies, I believe. He's also the former varsity lacrosse coach, and now he's presently the varsity football coach at Connecticut. And he does a lot of the coordinating of the high school athletics, not in an administrative sense, but he gets, you know, I assume a stipend for that to take care of the activities in the high school, the secondary level type. So he's happy over there. He's doing a good job. And I can't believe, but it's going to be close to 20 years already that he's teaching.
I know.
It's really unbelievable. I mean, and here you people here were their teachers, and here they are already 20 years into the profession. That's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So, thank God. And then we have number 3 was Donna Marie. Deborah Marie, and Donna Marie. That's all after Mama.
Okay.
Okay. She's a teacher at Laurel Elementary, 3rd grade. She has 2 children, married, and has 2 children. She loves it. She's, you know, she doesn't like to leave the baby. Matter of fact, I'm the babysitter. Me and Mama, Grandma, we babysit. Matter of fact, I just left them 2 minutes ago, and it's a whole different change with grandchildren. I'm telling you. I mean, I just love them, and just to be with them, you know, it really turns you on. I think was a big part of my fight for survival here and getting well in my situation. And so they're great. And then we have Doreen. Doreen was the youngest of all, special ed teacher, and she's right now retired as a a mama bringing up her family. One day maybe she'll go back to teaching when she raises her kids. She has 2 and 1 on the way, which will, I believe it's around March 1st, sometime of this year, next year. She'll be expecting another one. What it is, we don't know yet.
Well, my compliments to you and to your wife, because you have a wonderful family and you have done one heck of a job with your own kids.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, I was blessed.
Now, you mentioned your fight with cancer.
Yes.
And I don't want to just skip over that, because
Yeah.
You have been very fortunate to have come through that fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you mentioned the support of family and the importance
Family,
of
and
grandchildren.
I tell you, the family and grandchildren was a big part of my survival. Believe me when I tell you that. Although I have to also say that where I went for the surgery in Sloan Kettering, that was like a godsend. The doctors there are superb. I mean, they're just excellent people.
Yes.
Know what they're doing. Have the technology that they have there, and the knowledge of surgery, of cancer. And like I said, my doctors down here, I have a lot of respect for the people down here who were the surgeons that were going to take care of me, but they were big enough to say, you know, we know our limitations, and we're going to suggest that you go to Sloan Kettering. And by doing that, you know, they also were part of saving my life.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah. So thank God right now I'm doing well. I go every 3 months for a checkup, make sure everything is going okay.
Speaking of those grandchildren, as we were a moment ago, can you run down from Debbie and then Tony's kids?
I'm going to try.
Tell me about the personalities and the differences among the kids that you see. And also, if you see any family traits that are reappearing that you've also known from other members of your family.
Well, we start with Deborah. We have Keith, who was a great kid. Well, they're all great kids, but he's a great kid. And he's a big kid. He's about, I guess he's 200 pounds. And he's 13 years of age. Plays football with his middle school in Mount Sinai, where he goes. Loves sports. A very polite young boy. They all seem to have traits of our family, though. You know, like whether it be coming from his mother, or whether it be coming from his father, whether it be coming from me, or my wife. You know,
the interest in sports is there.
It's there, right? You know, so there's traits there. Then there's a little Janet. She's a doll. She very active also. Another active little girl. Yeah. You know, they're all following their mother's and aunt's footsteps. You know, the mother was a twirler. Janet, Debbie was a twirler. So Janet followed her footsteps. She's interested in gymnastics. She likes to play the music. She's with the band in school. She's still in elementary school. She's she's 8 years old. That would be elementary yet, I believe. Yeah. And she's enjoying that, you know, the arts somewhat. Then we got Anthony. Anthony's 4. Unfortunately, Anthony is divorced. Okay, he, without going into a big story, it was unfortunate that it had to be, but it had to be, you know. So anyway, he has 4 children. He has Ashley, who is our first. And matter of fact, on December the 15th, we'll be celebrating her sweet 16.
Ah, wonderful.
Coming up. She's a doll, a real young lady. And you start worrying about when they start hitting the teenage years, you know. You know. And we have Ashley. Then we have Anthony. Okay. Anthony is, he's a little different than a lot of the others. Anthony is not too much with sports or any of that kind of particular kinds of things that that some of the others are involved in. Anthony's he likes to play with his computer. He likes his books, reading. The quiet type of person, but a good kid, smart. Okay. Matter of fact, I should add that they're all doing great in school. from Debbie right down to where I'm
Why am I
speaking to
not
now.
surprised?
You know, I mean, you know, they're in the honor classes, 90s, you know, things like that. So that's Anthony Jr., Anthony Francis the third. Okay, he's the third.
Okay.
Then we have Alex. Alex is my little bull. Okay, he's a real bull. Let me tell you, he's a first grader and strong as an ox. And boy, it feels like when you hold him, you feel like you're holding the trunk of a tree, you know. And he's in wrestling, and he likes to play little sports and things like that, you know. And another one that's doing good in school. He's another great kid. And then we have Alexis. That's my little chatterbox. Okay, she's a doll too. She's just in kindergarten, but she enjoys school, and she's also doing very well in school. Then we go to Donna. Donna has two. Keith. I'm sorry, excuse me. It's I get mixed up with them sometimes.
Sure.
And I keep them all in mind. Glenn.
Okay.
Glenn Paul, and he goes to Our Lady of Peace in Sable.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, he was I think too early or too late to go into kindergarten in the Sachem School District, is where they live. So next year he'll go into first grade into Sachem, but he's in kindergarten right now over in Our Lady of Peace in Sable. And he's another one. He plays his soccer, and he plays his ice hockey. He's a kindergarten. You want to see them in their uniform. It's unbelievable. I mean, I tell you, you get such a charge out of this stuff, you know. He's in his uniform. His daddy, who was an ex-hockey player and a referee on ice, and so he's the one, and you know, he's a big guy, and he takes Glenn to the rink and watches with him, and while he's playing out there with the other kids, and little Mark, who I just left, okay, he's a little scoot around. He runs all over the place, and he's like 15 months, and he's a ball. He's a lot of fun. Loves his little books. Likes to read. Yes. Yeah, and nice. You know, he's not one of these. You know, you get a lot of these young kids that cry a lot. They this, they that. You know, this guy's not that way. Great. Matter of fact, he's even off his bottle already. You put him in for a nap, he goes in for his nap. Okay? And when he wakes up, he'll call out, or he'll say something, or you hear him playing in there. You know, not that he's crying or anything. Yes. You know, so he's a love. And so then we have Doreen, who has Frankie, who is, I call Mr. Aggressive. He's a ball of fire, that guy. I tell you, man. Boy, you ever light a fuse on him, he'd boom. But he's a great kid, though. He's very athletic. His father was Frank DeFano. I don't know if you know Frank. Graduated with Doreen in the high school. No, he's one of the DeFano boys. Okay. And so little Frankie, he's very active, very, very active. I would say more active than all of them. He's in baseball. He's in football. He's in wrestling. He does it all. Very active kid in athletics, and very wiry, and you know, always on a move. You know, you can't hold him back. He's going. You know. Then he has his little sister, Danielle, who is about 5 or 6, I believe. And you think she was 21? Okay, she'll tell you the way it is. You know. So, but she's a doll too. They're all beautiful kids, you know, and
that's quite a lot of fun. That's quite a family. Yeah, I mean, we're coming up to the holidays now. You're going to have some.
But let me go back to. Plus, she's got one on the way.
Okay.
Okay. Plus, let me go back to Anthony. Now, Anthony met a lovely young lady, Nanette. She is a registered nurse in Stony Brook for intensive care for pediatrics. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't know how she can do that, but. That's what she does, and she has 3 too. Oh! So when we see Anthony with his 4, And the next three, we call them the Brady Bunch.
Yes.
I tell you,
Yes.
7 kids coming
Wow.
around. So.
Wow.
But they're happy, you know,
Oh,
and they're living it up, and
wonderful.
And they're doing well. But all in all, to put it all in
Yes.
together, and they're all doing well, and they're a great bunch of
Yeah,
children.
you're blessed, Tony.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
was.
doubt about it.
That's what you call a blessing.
You bet.
Right.
What are some of the earliest memories you have as a child yourself in growing up?
As a child, I was very active in, well, you know, as a child growing up, I can remember playing, you know, in this big field with other kids, you know, in my community.
Now this is Ozone Park.
Ozone Park had a big field right near Idlewild. It was Idlewild at that time before it was Kennedy, and we used to go snake hunting out there for garden snakes. That's what they were.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a lot of fun doing that in the marshes, like, you know. I did a lot of fishing when I was a young kid. I used to go with my uncles, my father, you know, we used to go fishing together. And as I started to get a little older, where I was more or less getting on my own a little bit, I got very involved in athletics.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I played baseball, football, you know, all those sports. I had an invitation to the New York Giants at that time, football camp, baseball camp, to play, you know, Class D ball.
Mm-hmm.
And as I got a little old, I was about 17 years old, I think. And I, you know, I had played the Queens Alliance baseball, which is, you know, it's pretty well up there,
Mm-hmm.
like right underneath a semi-pro
Mm-hmm.
type, you know. And I played baseball with them. Then I went to Florida for, I think it was like 2 weeks. I was down in Florida in their training camp, the New York Giants baseball training camp. Matter of fact, Carl Hubble was one of the people down there who was running the camp. I mean, there was an idol. I mean, that man, Carl Hubble. I mean,
yes.
Then who else was there? Monty Irvin. This is when these guys were all starting to come up. And the shot heard around the world, Bobby Thompson.
Yes.
I'm sitting on the same sofa with him chatting. This is before he hit that home run. This is when he was just starting to come up.
Of course.
And Bobby Thompson was, you know, chatting with him a little bit. So then I came home from that camp. You know, hopefully I would, you know, get somewhere with it, you know, playing Major League Baseball. But the Korean War broke out. So I was drafted into the service, and that sort of put a damper on that. I was in the U.S. Infantry, 24th Infantry Division, sent overseas November. I went in November 51, and we were sent over like maybe 3 months later or something like that. And I spent several months in Japan doing more training, okay, and then 18 months in Korea.
So did you see
I was with the 24th Infantry, and you know, some of the things. It's one of the things I don't talk too much about, you know, but it was not a place to be.
That's a life-changing situation.
Yeah, I came back. I didn't even go back to baseball. You know, I was injured in Korea. My back turned over in a Jeep when we were going towards another camp that we were traveling to, and we don't know what happened, but you know, I was asleep. Some of us were asleep, and we found ourselves into a crater, you know. And so since then, my back's never been the same. But anyway, then.
Tony, a lot of guys who have seen active service in Vietnam sometime later would speak of having flashbacks and memories. Did you have some of that too when you came back?
You think of all the guys that, you know, young, you know, I was 20 years old, you know, and guys that come back with a leg missing, an arm missing, both of them missing, 2 of them missing. You know, some guys never came back. You know.
Yeah, I am prompted to ask you this. This is out of our routine. But what went through your mind when you became aware of what was happening on September 11th of this year?
I was angry. I was really angry. I said, you know, when you think of fighting an enemy, like when you're fighting an enemy in World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, you think about, hey, here's another enemy, you know. And there's not, you know, back when I was 20 years old, I could do something. I could put a uniform on. I can go do something, you know. And here I am, I'm sitting, I'm angry that I want to do something. I want to go over there and be with those guys to do something. Because, first of all, you know, Pearl Harbor was an incident, but it was a war. You were dealing with a military base, okay? September 11th was innocent people with families going to work, having their coffee, you know? And people like this, radicals, come flying into a building and killing all these people. I had a relative that was killed in that September 11th, a New York City fireman. It was my cousin's husband. Matter of fact, I was just at the services Monday, this past Monday. They finally had closure. So, you know, it made me angry, and I just said,
people.
Go ahead. And
go ahead, Tony.
It's just something that that, you know, there's, what can you do except try to do things on a home front here,
right?
You know, and supporting, you know, your military, supporting your administration, and supporting the what they're doing to make sure that they bring these people to justice. You know, there
are certain things in life for which there are no words.
Right, right.
And when that first happened, I'm sure many of us were struck dumb with disbelief.
Right. Oh, it's terrible.
I don't want to get too far afield from our subject.
Right.
The subject is you. And we've talked a little bit about, you've told us a little bit about some of your earliest memories growing up.
Right.
What was your mother's maiden name, Tony?
Her maiden name was Cassa. Okay. Cassa.
Have you ever been back? I assume that your parents were they born in this country? I shouldn't assume.
My parents were born here.
They were.
On my mother's side, my grandparents came over from Italy.
And what part of Italy?
Naples.
From Naples.
Naples.
Okay.
My father's side, my grandmother was born here.
Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yes.
And my grandfather came over from Italy when he was like 3 or 4 years old, or something like that.
This family is pretty much an American family going back several generations.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Well, my mother, father, and myself and my kids.
Did you ever go to Italy to visit?
No, I never
places?
went. Never went to Italy.
Okay.
No, not yet anyway.
Of the memories that you have as a child, what are some of the special memories you retain of your mother?
She was some lady, boy, let me tell you. Very protective of her kids. Very protective of her family. She was the kind of a lady that, how to put this, but you didn't want to mess.
Yes.
Okay? She was a strong lady.
She's tough.
Oh, tough. Oh, yeah. And I can remember when a kid growing up that I knew that when I came home later than I'm supposed to have been home, she'd be waiting. Not my father. She would. All right, waiting. When the door opens up, she was there, and I'd get a whack like I'd never seen before, fly me right across the room, okay, and really let me have it in words and everything else, okay, and but a heart of gold. Her house, her door was always open to people. She would make food for people in the neighborhood. Big bowls of spaghetti, macaroni, and she said, "Bring this down to Mrs. So-and-so, bring this down to Mr. and Mrs., you know, and things like that. Open her house to the family. I mean, every Sunday, all my aunts, uncles, me, kids, everybody were at my mother's.
It's clear. It's clear what your father saw in her.
Oh yeah.
To be attracted to her.
Yeah. Oh,
what did she see in him?
She saw a very gentle, kind man, and a man that would work 10 jobs to keep food on the table. Okay, and which he did. He worked 3 jobs to help raise us and put food on the table.
Now that was during the Depression,
during
too.
Depression, during the war. During the war, he was just about the age to get drafted, but he had so many of us that, I think he had about maybe four or five of us by that time, okay? So they didn't draft him. But he worked. He worked for Whalen Drugs. He worked for the Railway, it used to be the Railway Express at that time. He worked for another drug company. He used to dress windows.
Ah.
He was a window decorator.
Oh, so he had an artistic.
Yeah, he had an artistic thing, but worked hard.
Okay.
Worked hard, and every penny, he didn't keep to himself. He gave into the family, and to make sure that we had clothes on our back and we ate. But he was a hard-working guy.
It sounds like you had a big family. I mean, it sounds like it was a very large,
very big family. Very big family. I had aunts and uncles and grandmothers and everything.
Where were you in the birth order in your own family?
In my family, I was number one.
Ah, you're the oldest.
Yeah, I'm the oldest in my family.
Do you think that influenced the person you are today, being the oldest of your siblings?
It could have been. I would say it may have had something, some impact on it, I think.
If you were to describe your growing up years as a family, is there a word that you could choose to describe it? One word?
A word that I could describe
your family, what it was like to grow up in your family.
It was a happy family.
Okay.
Very Christian and very loving.
So it's a spiritually based.
My mother would never go without saying her rosary at night, and it was just one of those type of families. You went to church.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes.
Matter of fact, they sent me to Catholic school. That's where I went. To Catholic school. Okay. And then I went to John Adams High School. I went to St. John's Prep first. And then I had to leave St. John's Prep, and I went to John Adams High School, okay, in Ozone Park. So, I went through high school and everything else, but I didn't get too much with college. Well, first of all, back in those years, college, unless you had a lot of books, okay, you didn't get the help that you got today.
Right.
Okay. So, but I went to what they call a college life underwriter school in Hofstra University. So I went there for 1 year. So I consider that as a year at college.
Yes, sure.
Although I didn't go through the whole entire amount, but
but you were at that point. You were on a career path.
Yeah, I was with the insurance at that time.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Was that Metropolitan?
Metropolitan, right, right. Metropolitan Life. They sent me, and I think they paid for it. And I went for 1 year.
Okay.
That was it.
And then
to Hofstra University.
And then you had the skills you needed to do what.
Yeah, I could have went further though, but I didn't.
You're retired from that now.
I retired. I was with them like 25 years. Yeah, it was a good living. Helped put my kids through school and colleges, and we helped them a lot. They helped themselves. Whatever some aid they got, and
some good decisions along the way.
Weddings, three girls.
Wow. Besides mom and dad, who were the adult influences in your formative years, let's say?
I had some great uncles and aunts that were always there, always there, always there, always. Cousins.
When did you decide that you would go into when did you decide that you'd like to explore at least the insurance field, that was something that you thought you'd like to?
Well, when I first came out of the service, I went to work with an uncle of mine that was the president of R.O.B.S Instrument Corporation. It was an electronic place. It made radar systems for the Army and Navy, and I went there to work. I was there a couple of years, and it was non-union at the time. So then the union came in, and they wanted to organize the place. So I always had that. I was always that way with people, for labor and all that. So I went with the union to help organize the place. Uncle,
son of a gun,
didn't appreciate
the man
that.
has a union background.
Yeah, didn't appreciate that too much. My uncle calls my family up, talks to my mother. Alice, what is Anthony doing? So she says, well, Robbie, you know how he is. He believes in unionism. He believes in labor, and he feels that there should be a union there. Oh, I can't have this. I'm embarrassed. I'm this. I'm president of this company, and he's going for the union, But I went with the union, but I didn't end up staying there too long. So anyway, Then I went from there. I went with my brother-in-law, Marie's sister's husband, who owned a trucking company of delivering asphalt and sand and gravel, driving those big 10-wheel trucks. So I've done that for a couple of years.
Whoa, okay.
Okay. Then finally I said, I got to find myself something where I think I'm best suited for, you know. And I went to Metropolitan Life in Massapequa. I went to the office. I'm sorry, let me take that back. I went to an employment agency who sent me to this agency in Massapequa. And I went in, met the manager of the district. Man, I'll never forget, Mr. Tom Lynch. He sat down and interviewed me. He says, this is not a job where, you know, you go to work, you go home, you're home for the night, and you sit and you relax for the rest of the night. It's a night work, it's day work, you know, the whole bit. You're out a lot selling insurance. He says, I want to meet your wife, I want to meet your family. So I can explain to them exactly what they're in for, okay? Which he did. Came over, my wife made, my beautiful Irish wife, she made a nice big bowl of spaghetti and clam sauce, which she makes great. And we sat, we ate, we talked. He explained everything to her. He says, because I'm going to hire Tony. I'm going to hire him. Give him the job, but I have to take the test. I have to take the state test, this, that, and the other thing. Well, took the state test, which I thought I'd never pass. I had to hit those books, you know. The insurance test is tough. I don't know if you ever...
They are tough.
If you realize that. At that time, I had to take the health and the life. All right, so anyway, thank God I passed them. Passed the tests. Then I became an insurance agent for the Metropolitan Life, working out of this office. Beginning was pretty tough, okay? But he was a kind of a man that gave you such confidence and such support. He says, look, I don't want you going home worrying about anything. He says, if you need anything, you let me know. This is Mr. Lynch. A man I never forget. Another God-sent person.
In your life
into
for a reason,
society,
right?
right? I needed tires on my car. He bought the tires for me. He didn't want the money back. He bought the tires for me, so I could keep going and get out there and do the selling, you know, and this, that. I mean, it was good for him too, for me to get out there to keep selling, because, you know, it's best for him. It's an asset to him. But anyway, things like that, you know. If you win an award, which I won several awards with the insurance company, you know, selling, not millionaire and all that stuff.
Yes.
He paid for your wife to go on a trip, okay? It's just for me. The company's paying for me. He paid for the wife.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
And he chartered a plane. Now, would you believe this? To take us to the Bahamas for one of our trips.
Well, you must
all out of his pocket.
You must have been a crackerjack salesman.
And
you had to be good.
Yeah. Well, he was worth working for.
All right.
Doing the hard work.
What was your first paying job?
My first paying job, I was that's a good question. I skipped over that one. When I was going to school, a kid, I was a delivery boy for Dilbert Brothers. I used to take orders home for the people. When they used to buy big orders, take them in my wagon and pull them to the homes of the people that bought them. Then, after a few years, after I was...
Dilbert Brothers, for those who don't recognize the name, is a market, right?
It's a market.
Right.
It was known for their dairy, okay, but they had other things, okay. Then I became a dairy head at about, I was about 19, just before I went to the service. I was about 19. I became a dairy head, and worked there until I was drafted. And then after that was it. But that's what I worked at before. Now,
Tony, are you a morning person or a night person? You like to stay up late, or do you...
I like to stay up late to a certain time, and I also like my mornings. I love the mornings. I mean, if I have to get up, you know, to do something, I'm up.
You're ready to go.
Oh, no problem about it. I mean, I'm up, ready to go.
Okay.
But if there's nothing early in the morning, and I know I'm not going to go out till later in the day or something, I love the mornings.
Reach back into your memories and grab, if you can, at least one aroma that when you get a whiff of it today, it transports you right back to a great time in your life. Some aroma, some smell, something that evokes a memory of a warm or good nature?
Well, I guess I'd have to say when I met my wife the first time.
What's the aroma?
Met her at a dance, okay, and I just saw her walking, okay. I'll never forget that walk with her long blonde hair coming down her back, and knowing that she was on a date too with somebody,
Yes.
and I couldn't help it. I just had to go over to her.
And there is something that you can smell that evokes that memory? There's an aroma that triggers that for you on occasion?
Oh yeah.
Or are you just talking about that's a memory that you
No, no, that's something that I like. It's like an aroma that would come on something. I think about it every so often.
Okay, all right.
I
So
would
you can
think about
recreate
it, I say,
the feeling of that moment.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and it was a great time. So I met her from there on. She was 15. I was 18.
Wow,
and,
great.
We got engaged at age just before I went to the service, and waited for me for 2 years to come home. We got married.
Why did you come to Brentwood? How did you get here?
Well, we were taking a ride one day when I was working with R.O.B.S Instrument Corporation, me and several other my buddies. We took a ride during our lunch hour. Just took a quick ride out here. And we're driving along, all of a sudden, we see these houses for sale. You know, Bermuda homes, they call them.
Yes.
New development, right? So I looked at it and I remember, geez, this is nice out here, a lot of real country, So we go back. I tell my wife, listen, Sunday we're going to take a ride out to, I think they call it Brentwood, someplace, She says, Brentwood. She says, where is that? I says, well, we'll get in the car, we'll go out, we'll see. I mean, the parkway only ended at, I think, 41 someplace, okay? So we get off, we come down Brentwood Road, and we're looking, and it says, these are the houses I saw. Let's go in and take a look at them. So we went in, we looked at the homes, and I said, I really like this house. You know what the big attraction was with that house?
What?
It had 2 bathrooms.
Yes, yes.
It had 2 bathrooms. I says, Marie,
yes.
It's country out here. It's gorgeous, And so anyway, so we put a small deposit down on the house, and then we thought about it a little bit, and we came back again, and we signed a contract. Okay, 10,990. Oh my God, 10,990.
Are you still in the same house?
Same house.
Now, do you remember what the development was called?
Bermuda Homes.
Bermuda Homes.
That's what it was called, yeah. Okay. Bermuda Homes. And we waited a while, and finally it was built. We moved in. Deborah was 3 months old when we moved into that house.
That would have been what year now?
1957. Christmas of 1957.
So you spent
December.
Christmas of that year in the new house?
In that house. That's right.
That's
right.
Neat.
Yeah. Yeah. So
tell me what Brentwood was like when you first arrived.
It was, I didn't know anything about it. The school district, I didn't know anything about it. All I knew was that there was where I was moving, there was all woods all over the place, all around me. Okay, all woods. There was nothing up. There was an old house on my block, a big empty field on the side of me, and it was my house and this other house next to me, which was Bermuda Homes. There was 2 of us right on that one block, and one old time house, people that lived in there, and that was it. Okay, and then there was Brentwood Road. There was scattered some stores and things like that. Charlie's Deli and places that were there for years. It was very lovable. It was very nice, and I enjoyed it.
Now that was even before the boom really hit.
Before the boom, right? Before the boom. And then when it hit, then they put a development across the street from me.
Buildings started going up everywhere.
Started going all over the place. I says, "Oh, honey, here goes our
there's the
country going to the wayside,
Yeah.
But it was nice, and they built a house next to me, and then another house next on the other side, and then we had neighbors, a lot of neighbors around, but it was nice.
And so you're selling insurance then?
I'm selling
and you're
insurance.
getting to meet people.
Right.
And at some point along the line, you said to yourself, I think I want to become a member of the Board of Education. Is that what happened?
The reason why I did that, First, you know, I had a good friend in Brentwood. You know who he is, Vinny DeRiggi, okay, his father. We used to talk a lot. I said, you know, Vinny, we got to get involved in something around here. He says, yeah. He said, what do you want to start? He said, let's start a civic association. So I started the civic association with him. It's called the United Civic Association of Brentwood North Bayshore, because that's where I'm in North Bayshore. So we started it up, and we had meetings. We had guest speakers come in, you know, and talk to us. We had some councilmen come in to talk to us, and you know, and we were getting bigger and bigger. We had all the homes across that they built, the new developments and all that. Okay, this was about 1963, I guess, something like that. And we started building up a good organization. Then they put Oak Park School in. Okay, that was Deborah's school. Put Oak Park School in. They built a beautiful school. I'm going by there one day and I'm saying, they put a fence up for the kids to walk into. No sidewalk, you know. So I go to the school board meeting. I find out about the school board meeting. I said, Ed Sonley and them were all there. And I said, you know.
Yeah, who was there at that time besides
Ed Sonley, R.O.B.S Keller.
Gene Hoyt was superintendent?
Gene Hoyt was the superintendent. Let's see, who's the other guy? George Ramey. John Ramey, what was his? Ramey. Anyway.
Ramey, okay.
What that was? Frank Ramey.
Okay.
And Muller.
Okay.
Okay. And Muller. They were on 5 members on the board, and I got up on the floor. I put my hand up. They used to meet in the old administration building where the library is now, right?
Yes. And all men on the board.
All men. So I said, gentlemen, I just want to ask a question. Is a sidewalk included along that fence into Oak Park Elementary School? Well, you know, they started hemming and hawing, you know, well, you know, we thought it was, and, well, we'll look into that. I said, well, let me say this to you. I can almost bet you, and I didn't know that much about what went on in schools at that time or anything. I said, I can tell you right now that a sidewalk should be there. Okay? So I would expect that you make a decision to put a sidewalk in there, because that's where it belongs. That's where the taxpayers are going, money is going. So lo and behold, they put a sidewalk in. Okay? So I said, Vinny, you know what? You should run for the school board. I said to Vinny DeRiggi's father, right? So Vinny DeRiggi runs for the school board, okay? And he runs for the school board, and I think he ran against Ed Sonley. He did. He ran against Ed Sonley. And we campaigned for him. We had our civic group going and a whole bit, and we said, you know, we got to get Vinny in there. We got to make some changes here, this, that, everything. And he lost by 100 votes. It was a good race, okay? So then a few years went by. It's 1967. So he says to me, you know, Tony, maybe you should take a crack at it. You know, maybe you should take a crack at it, you know? I said, I don't know. I says, yeah. He says, come on, I think you could do it. He says, well, you've been pretty involved, you know, a little bit around the community, this, that. All right. So I said, okay, I'll run. So I got a petition filled out. Oh, first, I got to back up again. First, I go to R.O.B.S Keller. I talk to R.O.B.S Keller. I said, R.O.B.S, you know, I'm thinking of running for the school board. He said, he looks at me like, you're going to run for the school board? What background do you have to run for the school board? I said, I don't know. What background do you have to have? You know, you have to be a lawyer or something? You know? He said, no. He said, but I don't think you're, you know, I don't think you're up on that kind of stuff. He says, I don't know if you can run for the school board or not. Oh, okay. So then I found out that there's a superintendent of BOCES out here who oversees the schools. So I went to see Dr. Phelan at BOCES. So I go and see Dr. Phelan. I sit down with him. I say, you know, am I qualified to run for a school board? You know, what do you have to be anything special? He says, you could be a shoemaker if you want to run for the school board. You can be anything you want as long as you're a citizen and you live in that community. I says, thank you, Dr. Phelan. I thank you very much for the information. A nice chat with me, pat me on the back. He says, good luck to you, he says to me. So I came home, got the petition, had it all filled out. You need so many names on it.
Yes.
Turned it in, and I ran against an incumbent who was John Hines.
Oh, for goodness
Remember
sake.
John?
Yes.
John's a good friend of mine
Yes.
today.
Yes.
I ran against Johnny Hines, and I campaigned, and I really put on a campaign. I went to meet the candidate night, and said it just the way I am today. I say it the same way, you know.
Right.
And I defeated him and became the school board member in May of 1967, and by a good margin too.
And you have been elected every term since then.
I'd say it's 3-year terms, because when I got on the board, I made some changes. We put resolutions up that we changed it from a 5-year term to a 3-year term, and we extend the board to 7 members instead of 5, because the district was really starting to grow.
Yes.
And I also said we got to have election districts, not just going into one place and going into a booth, you know, or something like that, into the high school. That's where they used to vote. We got to have election districts, meaning that each elementary school, okay, will be an election post, so people can go to vote closer to their homes. Put that on a ballot. They all passed, all 3 of us. That was one of my big things.
Absolutely.
In the Brentwood School District, okay, one of the big changes that I made. And so you figure 3 years, I'm on 34 years. That's what, about 11 times.
Wow, incredible! Yeah. What a story.
Close to that, yeah. So that was my big.
Now there have been very high points, and there's been a lot of low points too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Well, I like to think of the high points.
That's good, good. You know, what was one of the high points for you?
Well, high points was fighting for state aid. Okay, getting.
Brentwood was one of the first school districts to take on the formula, the state formula.
Right. We started we initiated the lawsuit against the state. That was a big high point. And we did it again in 1990, I believe. It was 2 times we done it.
Now, correct me if I have the history wrong. While you didn't win the lawsuit the first time.
Right.
The fact of the matter is, things changed.
It changed from that. That was a shot. Okay. I think they started to realize we better start doing something. Okay. And which they did. They gave us what they call a high tax aid kind of package, where they give you more money for your high tax aid in the budget.
So even though you didn't win, you won.
We won. Right. Not what we wanted to win, but we won something. And ever since that time, things have changed within the budget. We've had some bad times where one year we had a very bad loss of state aid, where, if you remember, the governor at that time was Mario Cuomo, and it was a mid-year cut. They had to take back X amount of dollars, and I don't know how much we gave in, like $1 million or something like that. We had to give back. Okay, so that cost us a little bit of a tax increase, because they took money away from us. But we continued to fight on, and we fought on, and we fought on, and now many times you see where the budget, state budget, has been much better for Brentwood. Now this year, because of September 11th, okay, which they're using as a scapegoat, okay, everything's being blamed on September 11th, okay, which is unfortunate. Okay, they use something, you know, so they're using that. That we haven't gotten our state aid yet. We're still waiting for it. Okay, they were supposed to, you know, a lot of districts unfortunately counted on certain monies to come in, and that's what they base their taxes on.
Oh, geez.
Now what they're doing, they're increasing it.
Yes.
And
politically, that's bad news.
That's bad news.
Yeah.
So we did a lot of good things. I mean, I was on fighting with different organizations, with the REFIT organization, which is the Reform Inequities, Reform Educational Inequities Today, or something like that. That's the name of it. But
so the battle goes on, Tony.
The battle goes on. it'll keep going on.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
Okay. Until education is equitable, which it still isn't in this.
It's not equitable.
No.
No way at all.
No.
We're waiting for it to change, where we get the money that we're supposed to be getting, like $30-something million a year for taxes.
And I'm not the first to say this, and I'm not the first to tell you this because you've heard it from others. With what Brentwood does, with what it has, is nothing short of miraculous.
Oh, you're right. Absolutely. It's
the lives that have been profoundly affected by the caring people who work for this district. And this is a large family. This is this is like an American family.
Brentwood, to me, is one of the things I worked on. It was to bring it together as a family. Okay? We're not all going to agree with one another. We're going to have different opinions of things. But the goal,
the purpose of
everything of this district is that I wanted to make sure I brought it together, to make it a family. That district is totally different than other districts in this. I'm telling you right now, I've been to many of them, okay? The relationship of board members with their staff, with the administration, teachers, and everyone else in the district is so different. It's like night and day.
Now, this comes from a guy who was president of the board of a boards association of boards on Long Island. What was that? The Suffolk County organization that you were at one time a president of the
Islip Town School Board.
Islip Town School Boards. Okay,
yeah,
so you have seen. You're not just saying that. You've seen other school districts, and you see the way it works.
I've seen it. We've had so many of these districts that have no relationship whatsoever. That if you go into a school and ask a teacher or an employee who your board member is, they wouldn't know who he is or she is. You know, it's really, it shouldn't be that way. I mean, the purpose of being on a school board is for the kids, the education of kids. Okay, and when you're a board member, you got to remember you're a board member. You're not the teacher. You're not the superintendent of schools. You're not an administrator. You're a board member.
Now, sometimes it means, as a board member, you also have to work with other very difficult board members.
Oh, have I? Have I? Believe me, I went after quite a few of them, okay? And I turned a lot of them around, too. Matter of fact, they call me, okay, for certain things. And it goes to show you that, I made the impact that had to be made. And that's the way you got to do it.
Yes.
You can't allow a school district, like when we had, I don't have to mention names. You know who I'm talking about. There was one span there at a time. I swore I would get rid of these guys. I mean, it was terrible. It was really terrible. I mean,
now, every school district must go through the same thing at times, right? Where
absolutely.
You get people elect people, and then they're disappointed with the results of the election.
They get people on there that all of a sudden they turn around and they want to run the schools. And that's not their purpose.
Right.
You're paying a man a good salary to run your schools, which is your superintendent. Now, you work with him.
We're talking about the nature of family. One of the criticisms that we've both heard over the years is that Brentwood is it's incestuous. There are relatives. There are sons and mothers and brothers and fathers.
Right.
However, the other side of that coin is that yes, but it's family. There's a different kind of relationship.
Exactly right.
And from every negative thing that has happened in this district, positive has come.
Has doubled. Right. It has.
And that's 1/11.
Right.
That's 9/11 again, rather.
That's right. That's right.
From the terrible, terrible tragedy, such wonderful things. And it's redefined for us, I think, what our family is in this country.
Right. I think the country is stronger than it's ever been since that 9/11. You talk about family, people are starting to realize that we're a family here in the United States. And it's just unfortunate that things like that have to happen to make it a family. It was a family without that.
It was unfortunate for Brentwood that back on May 16th, 1983, we had a tragedy in the classroom of East Junior High.
That's right. Yep.
From a good family in this community,
right,
a very disturbed young man.
That's right.
Turned violent.
Right.
And it was very sad. Guy DiPietro was superintendent at the time.
Right.
But from out of that, experience, just like from out of our recent national tragedy.
Right.
Closeness developed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Real closeness between the family here.
Family and everyone here. Oh yeah, that was another bad tragedy.
Is there something that you'd like to see accomplished that you haven't finished yet, Tony? Is there something that you want to?
Well, one of the big things I want to see finished naturally is to make education funding equitable for everybody.
Yeah.
That we're losing a lot of money. We've lost over the last 5-6 years over close to $200 million in state aid that should have been the Brentwood School District. I want to accomplish that. I really do, because you know why? Now you're looking at small classes.
Are you saying that this money now has to come from other school districts, that Brentwood should get more of their share, or is it some other formula? It comes from a state.
It's a state formula. Okay. It's a state money that has to come that's being withheld because they call it a cap. Okay? We want the cap removed. They remove the cap, we'll get our $30-something million a year. What we're supposed to get instead of $2 or $3 million a year. Okay? That's the difference. You talk about less class size. You talk about hiring more teachers with more programs. You're talking about being able to service many of the problem students that we have. Okay, to help them with good, solid teachers. There's so many things that can be done. Okay, with that money, it's plus reduce taxes. With all the extra programs, you can still reduce taxes. That's what I want to do. I want to make sure that I can provide for every kid in my school district, and hopefully for other school districts
that are in a similar situation,
that are in the same situation, that we can provide the programs for them.
We watched the tragedy unfold in another school district on Long Island and at Nassau County now, where incidentally, let me talk for a moment about some of the stuff that you have accomplished and what you have done. One of the things that you are known for, you're an institution. You don't miss anything. You're at every function. You're at every retirement. You're in every posed photograph, in almost every piece of publication that comes out of the district. You're there because you're present, and your physical presence is a gift 10 out of 10 times. How do you find the time to manage a family life, to manage a professional life of community service?
I should have my wife here then.
Yes, yes. She must be a saint.
She is. She's a saint. But she knows the way I am. She knows that I took a job on, and I'm going to do it right. I'm not going to go halfway or a quarter of the way or not at all, just to sit back and go to a board meeting once a month. That's not me. Okay? I got to be there to support my family. My family and this family. Okay? I'm there to support. When I say the family, I'm talking about the Brentwood School District. Okay? I'm there to support them. Okay? When they retire, I want to be there to shake their hand and thank them for the time that they've given us here in servicing our kids. Okay? I want to be there. If there's a program going on in one of our buildings or wherever it may be, I want to be there to say, thank you, parents, for being here. Thank you for the support that you've given us so we can provide this program tonight for your children. I want to be at the concert like I was the other night, watching Joe Radner in his music department. I thought I was sitting in Carnegie Hall.
Yes.
I want to be there to support them. And that's what I want to do.
Speaking of that.
And I make my time.
Speaking of that, Brentwood has been a leader among school districts, not just in Long Island, but throughout the state.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
At times we've had the somewhat dubious designation of being the largest school district on Long Island.
Well, we are now, again.
We are again.
We're back again, yep. We bypassed Sachem again.
But we also, for many years, had that powerful green machine. You were referring to the music department and the work that was done.
Unbelievable.
Lots of changes there, though, Tony, over the years, necessitated by other circumstances.
Right. I think we've gotten better over the years. And all due respect to our past educators that were here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Joe Ratner is doing an excellent job. He's turned things around that were unbelievable. You could see it,
Yeah.
you know. Like I told him the other night, I told the staff the other night, I told him, I said, you know, I've been coming to concerts for years in this district, for years. They were great, unbelievable. What talent.
Yes.
Tonight topped it. I told him it topped it. The other night, it topped it. Because my wife was with me. She said, "You can't believe this."
Well, you would know.
I'm telling you, it was just
That's
something
wonderful.
that gave that little extra, okay? And it was just beautiful. I mean, they got a standing ovation, everything. People were there standing. All our programs. I mean,
Selfishly, I have to get this in. Brentwood was one of the first communities, one of the only communities on Long Island with the courage to initiate a public alternative within the public school system. So for those years that we had the Maslow-Toffler school,
yeah.
very controversial,
Right.
tough years economically
I think it
for the
helped a
whole
lot of
country.
kids, though.
But it certainly did.
My son went there.
Yes.
He went there. He turned out,
Yes.
He's an educator today.
Yeah, well, you're very kind. I would say his mother and father had a lot more to do
I
with that.
supported that school.
Yes, I know you did.
And
but here again, Brentwood was a leader.
Was a leader, right? That's right. We were a leader in a lot of things, a lot of programs.
Do you have a favorite activity that you look forward to every year, that you love to come in and be present for? Is there a favorite? I don't want to put you on the spot because I know that they're all your favorites.
Yeah, they're all my favorites. I love the sports time. You know, I love the wrestling, the football. You know,
but that's you, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love the concerts.
Okay.
You know, another big thing, I have to say this, what I love doing, okay, is when I'm invited to read to a class. I love that. I think that it's such a great feeling to sit there before kindergarten kids or first grade or third grade, and I'm sitting there reading a book, and you look at their faces, they're looking up at you like this,
yes.
you know, and you talk to them, you ask them different questions, and the teacher's standing in the room there, you know. That is a thrill. That's a thrill. Really a thrill.
Well, I've heard that from people who have retired and gone back and donating time.
Yeah,
and
I see them there.
It's a high,
yes,
to do that.
Yeah.
Tony, I don't want to put you on the spot, but there are people that were your friends, that were part of the Brentwood family, that are no longer with us. If I mention the name Guy DiPietro, what comes to mind?
What comes to mind with Guy DiPietro, he was a solid administrator. He was a sharp administrator. You talk about people having the knowledge of knowing, you know, projection and perception and things in that nature. He was great. I mean, he knew what was going on. He knew how to talk, negotiate. He knew how to, you know, a superintendent has to be a part of a lot of things. He's got to be an administrator. He's got to be an educator. He's got to be a politician. Okay. Guy had all that.
Yes.
Okay. He knew how to handle the situations, whether it be tough. He knew how to handle people. Okay. I mean, like I say, I didn't always agree with Les. I never agree with any administrator. We talk it out. Okay. We try to discuss different things. I give him my side of it. He gives me his side of it. And most of the time, I'm going to go with their recommendation because I feel that they would know more about it than I would. Okay, to be honest. I mean, I'm not
sure.
Okay, I'm not getting paid to do his job. I'm the board member, but I can tell. Okay, I can tell if something doesn't smell right and it's not going to work, and that's where I come in, and I can give my side of it and my information and my perspective of what's going to happen. Okay. They listen at times, you know, but Guy was a good man. He helped this district a lot.
When we lost Guy, because he had the experience from both sides of the negotiation table,
right.
and also the person that he was. When we lost him, it really was the end of an era, wasn't it, in the district?
Yeah, it sort of put a crunch on things.
Now you have been present to watch all sorts of changes occur over the years.
Right.
Brentwood was at one time almost a rural community.
That's right. That's what it was.
It was country.
Right.
But then we had the boom years, and it was exploding.
Now we're very multicultural. Okay, very diverse, and it's a district that, you know, people just don't understand sometimes about multicultural. They don't, you know, because you have people out there that don't want to know multicultural. They only want to know themselves, okay, and that's it. But Brentwood, again, I go back to the family, okay. We have it all together here. We have a very diverse population of Hispanics, very multicultural. We have a percentage of Afro-Americans, okay. We have some Vietnamese. We have Chinese. We have Indian, which is becoming pretty large now, I think, in Brentwood. But you know, 99% of them are so family oriented that you know, it's wonderful to see the way they work, and they're smart people.
You would probably be one of the people who would agree with the statement that Brentwood has always been a microcosm of this whole country.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely. Can I also say, does this fit in a mosaic?
A mosaic,
huh?
Yeah.
Could I say that?
Sure.
I mean, that's what we have. You know?
It works.
I don't like the word melting pot. For some reason, I don't use that too much. I like mosaic. I think it
because this way people retain their own identities.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I people say, how come you stay in Brentwood? I said, why? Because I like it.
Yeah.
I like living here. I like being amongst other people that are in a different culture than myself.
Yes.
And you want to know something? My 4 kids got the best education of anyone, that being raised here in Brentwood and knowing the other side, knowing other cultures and knowing what was going on, and making friends with people.
Would you agree with the comment that I've heard that Brentwood is like a suburban inner school system?
Yeah.
In the sense that it has a lot of the ethnicity of an urban setting in a suburban community.
Right.
But there's a richness there.
But there's a richness, absolutely. That's the word, richness. It definitely has. It's a rich kind of community that has a togetherness of people that I can go to almost anybody in this community of any culture and sit, talk to them, and become their friend, okay? And know that they know me, okay? And they don't have to worry about what my culture is. They know that I'm for their kids. See, they know that, and that's a big plus.
As soon as you leave here, you're going to work, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm going to go teach a class.
And where is that going to take place?
Smithtown. It's in-service credits for teachers who want to take credits. It's something that I didn't think I could do, but I am qualified to do that part of it, but I can't do graduate courses because I'm not an educator. But in-service I can do. And I'm enjoying doing it. I sit down with teachers from all different school districts, and it's amazing how they get to know me. Is
this part of a scope, or is it a both program?
No, it's a private owned group of people. It was a former superintendent, Art Figliosi, he was a wine dance superintendent, and then was a superintendent in Eastport. He was a referee for basketball with Butch Delacave.
So these are accredited courses that teachers can take for in-service.
For in-service, yeah, they get 3 credits for it.
So you haven't stopped growing.
No,
there's no moss growing on this, man.
Yeah. So you know, and I get guests to come.
That's great, Tony.
You know, Les has come a couple of times, and other people in the district, and
you're an inspiration to a lot of us for what you've
Joe
done.
Hogan there.
Oh, gee. Hey, is there anything that you would have done differently, having had a second chance to do some of this stuff over?
Not in what I've been doing. I would still do the same thing. You know, I had aspirations maybe of trying to be something up in the political field, I tried a couple of times, but was defeated because, you know, being a Democrat, the running out here as a Democrat is pretty tough.
Yes.
You know? But even though I lost, it was a good race. You know, I didn't get smothered or anything like that. It was a good, you know, I lost by small margins. But I would have liked to have been maybe a congressman someday or something like that, you know. But that's all past now. I enjoy really what I'm doing. I enjoy being on a school board.
It's been my impression that whereas some communities on Long Island have an identity as a community, there are clear boundaries that designate this as a community. What gives Brentwood its identity, it has always seemed to me, is the school district.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we have different postal districts. We have different different fire district. I guess there's a North Bay
Brentwood,
Shore.
no, there's just one fire district. One Brentwood ambulance district.
Okay.
The only difference is the post office. It's 1117 and 11706.
But my point was going to be that the school district itself does give and you are like the mayor. I mean, even though you may at one point not be the president of the board, you're a trustee, but you're the mayor. I mean, you are the mayor of Brentwood.
You know what I like better than that?
What's that?
Mr. Brentwood.
Mr. Brentwood is
I hear that more.
That should be the name of this.
I hear that more than anything else. You know?
That's true. That's a good one, Tony.
Really good.
What didn't we talk about that we should? Now, I didn't go down the road with you mentioning names, and I could have done that. I could have mentioned this administrator, remember that, and I didn't want to do that.
No, okay.
I mentioned Guy because Guy is no longer with us to speak for himself.
Right, exactly.
And there are others that are not here.
Guy was, like I said, he was a good administrator, and he was tough. He had his own ideals and his own, you know, his strength was in what he believed in was best for the district. And he always seemed to be on target, too. He was always there. He knew what we was talking about.
There were other times we talked before about not wanting to get into some of the more difficult talk about them. Brentwood, like all school districts, has had its difficult times.
Oh, yeah.
All of which have been weathered. And on the other side, the sun has always come out shining, no matter what has happened. But I think decisions have been made by you and others that evolved around principle and evolved around what you've described very well as family.
Right, right.
I don't want to leave anything out. If there's anything that you
the only thing I would add to that would be that I fought for what I believed in. Principle, the Brentwood School District, the kids, the teachers, every employee, administrators in this district. I was very strongly opposed to tax pack. I mean, I battled them. They picketed my house, but I didn't care. I mean, I threw a bomb at them, you know. I don't mean literally, but you know, I battled them, and I felt very successful in beating them, okay? The things that people come to school board meetings and start knocking the teachers and they'll cut this and cut that and cut programs and do it. I battled that, okay? So, I mean, I took on some heavyweights too in this district. And I just kept swinging, you know, and I'm still here. I'm still here for 34 years. A lot of them are gone already.
You're still here and held in very high esteem by all of the professional organizations with whom you've worked over the years.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
And if I have said it once, I've said it 10 times in this year alone. Thank you, Brentwood, and thank God and thank Brentwood for our health insurance.
That's right. That's right. I believed in a good pay. I believe in good benefits, okay? Because if you're going to start penny pinching your employees and your teachers, you're not going to get quality. And I believe that we have the quality because we provided the proper salaries and fringe benefits, and you know, and still I don't believe that that teachers are really being paid the salary they should be getting paid. They got to wait too long to reach a certain step, you know. But those are the things I battled, and you know, I'll still battle them if I have to.
Well, you hang in there, and for all of the people who aren't here to thank you, let me thank you, Tony, on behalf of everybody, and thank you for being our guest.
Right.
And many, many more years of successful battling to you.
Right.
Thank
you.
Thanks, Tony.
Okay, it was a pleasure.